this is Tish Griffin, and I am coming to you on behalf of Family Credit Management. And my goal today is to talk with you about your finances, answer questions that you have regarding finances, debt, dealing with collection agencies, and just anything that may be stressing you when you're relating to finances or even thinking about it. That's our goal, is to take that stress off of you and give you the information that you need. So for the next few minutes, we are going to be focusing on those financial topics. But if you have any questions at all, or you feel like you need any help or someone to talk to about your debt, your bills, your goals, feel free to reach out to a counselor at Family Credit at 800-994-3328, or you can actually go online to Family Credit's website at familycredit.org and chat directly with a counselor that can give you the best resources and advice for your financial situation. First off, I want you to know that everyone's financial situation is unique and different to them. Like, my financial situation is different from yours. We may want different things in life, but the importance and the success of everything we do is, first, we have to know ourselves, and then we have to be able to put our goals and plans together to make everything work. The last thing that we want to do is work for years and years and years and have nothing to show. And we've seen this throughout history, where there are people, or even our family, our parents, grandparents, that put so much into working, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes there's emergencies. There are family situations that happen and cause us to lose our footing. So we want to combat that. We want to be prepared. We want to be proactive with our finances. And the first step is actually getting to know yourself financially. Now, nowadays, with the talk of mental health awareness, that's waking people up and letting them say, hey, guess what? I'm really not alone with dealing with anything that I go through. There are other people out there that deal with the same things, and there's help to get yourself back on track. The same thing happens with your finances. So just know you can use Family Credit as a resource at 800-994-3328, or you can do some work, research, watch videos like this. Tune in to just keep updated with the different things that are going on, things that you should pay attention to with your finances. But I caution you, when we're thinking about our finances and getting things in order, a lot of times we want to take the quick way, the quick trip. We want to fix that's going to happen right now. And we honestly need to work on the long term. We need to think about long-term goals and our finances, what we want out of life, not just right now, not just what's going to happen within the next year or so. I'm talking about, you have to get to know yourselves, know your spending habits, know your budget, everything for long term. Because right now, once we're younger, we're working, we're doing things every single day, but there's going to come a time where we really don't want to work the rest of our lives. Now, we know the retirement age, and we know that a lot of people tend to retire when they're in their 60s or 70s, depending on what's going on. But a lot of times we want to make that choice for ourselves. When are we going to retire? And again, all of that still hinges on knowing yourself financially and knowing what you want. So as of late, I really had to sit down and go through my finances. And I tend to do this quite often. I say that if you are trying to stay in tune with your finances, with your debt, keeping things in check, and sometimes we may feel like, hey, we do a good job. We know what bills we need to pay, but we still don't know where our money is going or what's happening, or if we're saving correctly. I suggest doing a review every 6 months or so with your budget, with your goals, and with your finances. So I sit down every 6 months or so, and I look at my bills, I look at my spending, I look at everything. And this has to be like the rawest moment of my life. So what I do is I go through, first off, knowing what your goals are and your budget is key. And before you get to that, though, you've got to have your goals in mind. So I caution you, I talk to you all the time about sitting down, looking at your goals, especially at the beginning of the year, and seeing what those goals are. Now, 6 months in, you should be taking a look, pulling out those My Spending Plans or Personal Finance Made Easy that you guys have gotten from Family Credit. And again, when you start this, the first thing that it asks you for is, what are your goals? Let's think about your future. What do you want in your future? So we've got this written down, or if you do not have it, go to Family Credit's website, download this, or request a mailed copy. That's right, you can get this mailed out to you with some great information. And get going now, because it's never too late. So again, I sit down and I go through everything, and I look at my last 2 months worth of history on my bank statements. Again, rawest thing ever, because now you have to sit and say, man, I spent that much, or I went to that store. When did that happen? What did I get? And so I want you to go through and just look at what you spend. And for some of us, we do have a great grasp on the money that leaves, but sometimes we don't. And it's knowing that and looking at those actual spending leaks. Now, here's the thing. You can't really look at those or think about those spending leaks and how you're spending if you're not taking the time to look at your actual actions. So that's why I say it's about getting to know yourself, because when you sit down and you start going through that, going through your budget, looking at your budget, your bills, your income, because yes, you may have everything on track with your budget, but there also may be some things that you can cut out or cut down on that you can increase your actual savings. And that's our goal, to be able to save more, to be able to save enough for retirement, to have that. Yes. And we want to make sure that we're on track for that. So taking a look at your finances, going back through your goals, adjusting them as your life changes. Keep that in mind. That's huge, because what's important today may not be important 6 months from now. And then as you're going through all of this, you're going through your spending, you're looking at what you've spent, you're looking at your utility bills. Now, I caution you, always say, look at your utility bills, especially when you're establishing your budget. But after you've established your budget, you still need to go back through and look at those bills and say, okay, what am I being charged for? Is this correct? And is there a way to cut down or cut back on what I'm being charged? So still, you always want to go back through that, maybe every 6 months or so. And as you're doing this, you're looking at your bills and you're like, okay, what is my spending habit? What's my mindset towards money? And while you're doing this, I want you to also think about, how do you feel as you're going through this? Now, for some of us, we may be happy going through our bank statements like, oh, look at that, I didn't spend as much as I thought. But sometimes we sit down and say, wow, I can't believe I did that. Okay, I see that I did this. I remember when we went out there, we took the kids out, we took the family out, and I spent more than I intended. What happened? And what can we do to change that so it does not happen in the future and it does not affect our budget? And the great thing about doing it this way, every 6 months going through things, is because now you can take a step back and say, this is my behavior. This is what our family did. This is what we did over the past 6 months. Now, from this point, what can I change for the future? Looking at the past 6 months, what is it that I don't want to do? Or what's my goal so that I can make things better in the future? And taking a step and doing that. We all have to have the right mindset with dealing with money. And dealing with money is so frustrating. It can be overwhelming. And a lot of times it stresses us out. That's a lot of times why we don't even want to realize this. We don't want to look at our budget. We don't want to look at our spending. Also, we also have to think about the use of technology. A lot of times we rely so heavily on our phones and our iPads and our tablets that we're not even taking a look at the paper like we used to. We don't get to look at the bills like we used to, because everything's coming to our email. All we see is the number that we're supposed to pay, and so we pay it. But where's the actual bill? Where's the statement? Do you even know how much your bank charges for fees? What type of fees are involved with your utilities? Are they charging you for processing electronic payments? These are some things that we want to think about and take a look at as well. So while we're going over that, our mindset has to be a positive one. And once you start thinking of things more positively, because again, money can be frustrating, but if you say, okay, I looked at what I did, I saw what I did, but now I've got a plan together to keep things in order, to make things better for me for the next 6 months. And you keep going like that. Taking a look at your budget, looking at my spending plan that you can get at familycredit.org or by calling 800-994-3328 and requesting one be mailed to you. You're going over that and you're thinking about it. Again, your mindset does have a lot to do with how successful you are, how prepared you are with your money and with your finances. We also hear a lot of times about how we need to speak more positively, think more positively. And, we were brought up a lot of times to think negatively about budgeting and finances. A lot of times when I talk about budgets or talk to people about their spending plans, they're like, oh, no, I can't budget. I don't like it. It stresses me out. I haven't done this. I want to do it, but I haven't because it's just so overwhelming. So where do we start? You don't start by sitting down and doing your budget. You start first off by taking a step back, clearing your mind, getting your mind in the right realm for you to actually work on your finances, putting on maybe some positive music. Maybe there's some things that you like to do so that you can be in a better light when you sit down and go through your finances. Yes, it does really start with mindset. And now you can work on setting goals that are more relevant to what it is that you actually want to do. One thing that I caution people to think about as well is that when you're going through your goals and you're thinking about your goals, don't just think about what you can do 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years or 5 years from now. Think about where it is you want to end up in life. Again, thinking about that retirement age. What age do you want to retire? And after you retire, we want to make sure that we have enough money to live off of. So how much money do you need? Let's say your retirement age is 65 years old. That's your goal. You're going to retire at 65. If you projected to live from ages 65 to 85, span of 20 years, how much money do you need each year to be successful so that you don't have to worry about your finances? And that's what we need to start thinking about right now. Not just, hey, in another year, I want to buy a car. It's a lot deeper than that. So think about this. At age 65, do you want to have your house paid off? Do you feel that you'll still be renting? And or you may say, I might want to downsize and get a condo. I may have a house now, but I want to sell it and get a condo. How much is that going to take? Are you going to be okay paying a mortgage or rent for the next 20 years? And some people may say, hey, I'm going into a retirement community as soon as I retire. And that's fine too. How much does that cost as well? Medicaid and Medicare don't pay for everything. So we want to be conscious about it. Make great use of our retirement savings plans, such as the 401k, or if you have an IRA or Roth IRA, let's see what we can do to build that up. Look at some money market accounts or some mutual funds. What is it that we can do to constantly, continuously build on our retirement so that when we do retire, we don't have to think about it? I always say the last thing I want is that when I retire to work at a grocery store or Walmart or something because I have to. If I do that, I want it to be because I want to. I can make my own hours and do what I want once I retire. What does your retirement look like? What do you look like right now financially? And that's what we want to go towards in fixing things and making things better for you. So we thought about what our goals are, our retirement, when we want to retire, and how much money you need. And you want to put that number together, I guess, for the next 20 years. Again, from 65 to 85 is a good place to start. You may be projected to live longer than that as well. But each year, you want to make sure that you are comfortable. For some people, they can be comfortable on $30,000 a year. And that's great. If you feel like you need $60,000 or $80,000, or your goal might be to just make sure your house is paid off by that time. And then once your house is paid off, keep in mind, you still have to pay property taxes and other bills, other upkeep as well. That's what our long-term goals should be about. And that's what we should actually be focusing on. So I know that's a lot for you to take in, but it all stems back to having that mindset of this is my goal and I am going to make this happen for me. This is where I am financially, and I have a goal of where I need to be and a long-term goal of where I'm going to end up. So let's work towards making that happen. Now, after you do that, we've got to take those steps. We've got something in place. We've got those goals. We know our number. We know how much we need financially for the rest of our lives. Now our goal is to get to that number before we retire. And the best way of doing that, now we've got to go over that budget. That's right. We've got to tackle this budget. We looked at our spending. We know we kind of have a mindset of what our spending habits are. Are we one of those impulsive shoppers? Does a good sale get you? Or do you tend to save more and be frugal? Either way, either method that you use is okay. And that's what works for you. But we all want to be able to save a little bit more. So if you're frugal, great, keep that up. But don't forget that you do need to take care of yourself as well. And then for those of us that, a good sale can get us going every now and then, and we take advantage of those things, we have to stop and think about, have we met our needs? Or are we just focused on everything we want out of life? And so again, that goes into that mindset. We want to make sure that we can focus on our actual needs. Someone living in Chicago may say, oh, I really want a nice car. And, nowadays, a lot of the car notes, when you think about getting a good car, we think first thing, maybe a $200, $300 car note. There are car notes now that top way over $1,000 for 72 months. Think about that. 72 months of paying for a car at $1,000 a month. You will have paid well over that $72,000 with interest on, and you want to focus on that and think about it. Is that car actually worth it? And once that car is paid off, what happens? I need to get another car. Or there are some people out that say, well, I'll just get a car every few years, and then if I don't pay the rest of that car off, then I'll just roll it into another car. When that happens, keep in mind, let's say you have a car that you buy, $30,000, and you are expected to pay that back within 3 years' time. And you decide you want to get a new car at the end of the first 2 years. So you've got a whole year left to go on that $30,000. And what happens is they go to the car dealer, you trade your car in, but you still have this balance there. So the lender will take that balance that you have, the whole year's worth of payments, and tack it onto your new auto loan. You go out, you buy another car, you're thinking, I'll get a $40,000 car now. But they're tacking on that additional maybe $10,000 that you had left to pay off on that first car. So now you're paying $40,000 plus that 10. So your actual car note is based on $50,000 when you could have just paid that car off. So those are things that people are doing, but you want to be careful. You want to think about it, because that's money wasted or money that you could have had going towards something else. Again, we want to keep our goals in mind. We want to make sure that we're focusing on our goals and our budget. And so with that being said, having that mindset, do we want that instant gratification of getting a new car, getting something sparkly and big, or saving, trying to cut back, seeing what we can do to keep our current car going? It may need just some general repairs, which after you pay that off and now you're just thinking about general repairs, that may fit your budget a little bit easier. And for some of us, we may say, yes, I've got this car note here. I'm supposed to pay it off within 6 years, but I'm going to pay just a little bit extra each and every single month. That's going to get you paid off sooner. So let's say you have your car note, you have a car note that may be $500 per month, and you get paid every 2 weeks. You may say, instead of me paying $500 per month, I'm going to pay $250 every single time that I get paid. What's that doing? That's paying you off sooner. That really does go a long ways in saving you on interest. It'll probably cut a couple of years off of your expected car note as well, especially if you're consistent and you're keeping that going. Then once that car is paid off, you can take that $500, put it in the bank, put it into a savings account, put it towards your retirement. Again, we want to retire early, right? And those small steps, you may say, well, $500 a month, that's no money for me to be saving. Some people may say $50 a month, that's no money. But when you're doing it over time, it adds up. And that's the difference that you want to make. You may think of it as little bitty steps, or it's not enough to make an impact, but it really does. Even if you only have $5 that you can be saving per week, do it. That will really go a long ways in securing your future. It will keep you disciplined as well, because now you know, okay, before I do anything, I've got to take this amount, I've got to put it up. And that's allowing us to work our budget and keep things in order. And those little steps that we're taking, we're playing kind of like tricking your mind a little bit into doing those things that will keep your budget going, keep you with money, keep you from spending too much in a lot of different areas. So the things that we talk about here, you're just not applying them to just your car note. You can do the same thing with your utility bills. You can do the same thing with your mortgage payments. If you take your mortgage payment and you're paying on it every single month, regardless, the same time, and you're splitting that payment, you're saving on interest every single year. It's been said, if you can do that little trick where you're taking your mortgage payment and you're splitting it in two and you're paying it every 2 weeks religiously, not just, I've got an extra paycheck here, so I'm going to keep that for myself. No, you're continuously paying it and you set it up that way. Guess what's going to happen? You are shaving at least 6 years off of a 30-year mortgage. Can I say that again? You're shaving at least 6 years off of a 30-year mortgage. So if you've got a 30-year mortgage and you're taking that and you're making extra payments on it each and every single month, talk about being ready for retirement. And let's say you can add extra on that too. Now, this is if you have a house that you know you want to stay in, you know you want to retire here, and you just want to get things under control where you're not having to worry about making that mortgage payment. That's the way to do it. Again, our mindset has to be right for us to do it so that we can stay disciplined as well. So keep that in mind when you're working out all of these things, going over your budget, and then taking a look and say, hey, well, I didn't do that for the past 6 months, but I'm going to do it in the future. And now I can make a difference and tell the difference from month to month. And every time you do your review, now remember, every 6 months, you need to be going in and doing that review so that you know how your finances look. And you want to keep yourself financially fit, not just physically fit, but those finances have to be in order too. The next step for that is making sure that you're looking at your credit report, knowing what your credit score is, taking record of your credit score, and paying attention to any changes. There are so many people that are looking for a quick fix on that, and we'll talk about that in a later show as well. But if you are paying attention to your credit report, your debt, your bills, all of that is working together to keep you financially fit and able so that you can make whatever purchases you want. Not just that, your budget is strong, your credit is good, and you're able to retire when you want, because now we can take that extra money that we're saving, we can take our goals, we can put that into retirement and work on building that up. For me, I expect that I need an additional, after I make all of my bills each and every single month for the next few years, by the time I retire, if I have $3.2 million somewhere, that's what I am expected to be able to live financially fit and be secure once I retire. So again, we don't have that long to go, right? If you are 20 years old, if you're 40 years old, if you're 60 years old, whatever you can do to start working towards your goals so that you can retire, know what that amount is. Take a step back, sit down when you have free time and say, okay, how much is $30,000 for the next 20 years? How much do I need? That's not enough. Maybe 50,000. What works for you? Figure that out. Look at your budget, look at your bills, and work towards that retirement goal. That's the important thing. Now, if you got any questions at all, you can go to Family Credit's website at familycredit.org. Request my spending plan. That's what I need you to do. Or look up Personal Finance Made Easy. This is a great guide as well, and it will allow you to start thinking about your future. We can talk about, a lot of people talk about playing the stock market, investing, but the way to actually make your money work is for you to sit down and look at it, go through it, and work it yourself. All right. So if you've got any other questions, feel free to reach out to Family Credit, 800-994-3328, or go online, familycredit.org, and speak directly with the counselor. Let's get you financially fit and stable. Okay. Take care.